Welcome to Mastering Visual Filters for Better Bible Study and Sermon Preparation. Tonight's topic is really a lot of fun, but I'm going to take a little bit of a different approach. So, the first thing I want to do is talk about how to create a visual filter from beginning to advanced. And some of this is going to be review for some of you, some of it's going to be brand new, some of these other things will be more complicated and maybe you've never seen before. So, we got a variety of content here for all users. So let's begin first with the easiest way to create a visual filter. And to do that is simply click on the search magnifying glass at the top right. Now, typically what you're doing is you're doing a search. And let's say we're doing a search for the person of Abraham. Okay, so I typed in person, Abraham. I see the drop down menu and I click on it. Now, right away, I have person Abraham showing up. Now, it is kind of interesting that this first one came back with Shem. That's a little peculiar. And I'm not sure quite why Logos did that, but there you go. Okay, now we get a list. And if Abraham is an important person to you, or you want to make sure that whenever you see him in the text, you want to be notified of that. So how do we do that? Well, after you run any search, the first place you want to go is the top right. Click on those three dots. They look like a stoplight menu. And when you click that menu, you're going to see this option, Save as Visual Filters. So we click on that, and you'll see right away that person Abraham has been inserted into this first box. Now, there's a couple things we need to do after this. We have to choose a formatting. Now, you can use an existing one. We'll take a few moments to show you how to create your own personalized graphics. But for now, let's just use a simple yellow highlight. In fact, better yet, let's do a blue underline, not as bright and intimidating. All right, so there we go. And you'll notice already at the right, we see this underline. The next thing we want to do is give it a name. So I like to do a lot of times is just put in the actual search I'm running. So in this case, person Abraham. And we press enter. So now we got the name, we have the criteria that we're searching on the visual filter, and then we have the format, what we want it to look like. So now if we close our search engine, all right, the highlight goes away, but the visual filter is still there. Now, if we select the text, you'll notice that we can't delete it because it's been applied to every place where it believes Abraham is part of this. And generations of Shem, I guess, indirectly includes Abraham the person, and that's why we get it. So there is some logic behind this. And the beauty of a visual filter, again, is that you can be studying and working through passages, and it's there to remind you to look here and notice it. And that's probably the easiest way to create a visual filter. Now, don't lose sight of the power of this. Anything you can search can be turned into a visual filter. Any combination, anything you want. So, for example, let's say we want to do the combination of Abraham, and we'll say near, and then we'll do the word faith or believe. Okay? Now we can run the search, and here we go. We've got quite a few hits already. And again, if we simply select the stoplight menu, choose Save as Visual Filter, and again, we'll take that search, copy it, paste it to the name, and then again, we'll choose a formatting. In this case, let's choose something a little bit different. Let's go with a colored box. We can now jump to Romans 4, and now we can see those. In fact, let me turn off all the other visual filters so that we're not confused. And there we go. Just a couple more. I think that should do it. I've got a lot of visual filters, as you can see. There we go. I think that'll do. Okay. So these are probably just some special notes that I have in here. In fact, those are probably user notes. So let me turn those off as well. There we go. Okay. So now we can look at Abraham, and we've got the information visualized for us. So the quickest, easiest way, run a search, see what kind of information comes back, and then apply a visual filter accordingly. Now, for sake of tonight, I'm going to go ahead and delete both of those that I created. so we're not confused by those. So how do we do that? We go to the Documents menu. We could click on Visual Filters. That would kind of hide everything. And then we just click on the date column to make sure the most recent is at the top. And that's a toggle. So just click it once again and it will resort it. And then to delete it, we simply right click and choose delete and it goes away. Now it did one. Let's do the second one by clicking on Documents again and we'll right click and choose delete. All right. And there we go. And so now the visual filter is gone. So that's one way to create it easily. And then that's how you remove it. Now, another way is to create the visual filter manually. And to do that, we go to Documents, then we'll click on New, and we're going to go to Visual Filter. Now, this is pretty straightforward. We can type anything we want. So for fun, let's put in the word justified. Okay? We want to search on justification. Now, you have two options. You can search on the English, or we can go a little bit deeper and find the underlying concepts. So let's do this. Let's right click on justified. And this time, let's do it on the underlying lemma. All right, so I'm going to choose the circle icon, which is the lemma, and I'm going to choose Search Bible. Always do search first, because that's going to generate the information. And there we go. So now if we right click and cut this, we can go back to our visual filter. We can right click on search. We can paste it. And then all we got to do again is choose the formatting. And again, we'll just choose something easily identifiable, the double underline. And in a few moments, the visual filter will be applied and there it is. And so justified is now underlined. Okay, so I do like to use the search to make sure I've got the right search criteria. And then I apply that manually. And that gives us a lot of flexibility to do just about anything. Now, because Logos, as you can see, can do English, it can also do original language. And that means Hebrew as well as Greek or any other original language. And that's really powerful. But also, anything that's in the right-click menu is going to be accessible to you. So, for example, let's say we want to search on a morphological information, specifically all the commands. Now, I'm going to go ahead and just click on Morph here for a minute. And what I'm going to do is now notice when I clicked on Morph, my visual filter went away. Why is that? Well, one is I'm doing a search on Aramaic. Let me go ahead and go to Greek Logos. All right. And now it's back. Okay. So you'll discover that you can mix and match sometimes, but you're really better off keeping them separate based on Old Testament, New Testament. Now, with morphological visual filters, we type in the @ symbol, and that gives us access to the morphology. Now, let's say we want to search on commands. Well, a command is a verb, so we can click on verb, and the mood for verbs in the Greek is the imperative. So we click on imperative, and we're pretty much all done, so we can click off the menu. Now, I like to color the verbs green. Green's like a command, like go at a stoplight, and so I'm going to click on green. And in a few moments, we'll see the visual filter get applied. Now, there may not be any commands right here, so let's scroll down and probably just go to one of the epistles, let's say Jude. I'm sure we'll find a command in there. And let's see. Now, I got to make sure that the visual filter is enabled, so let's click on that. And we'll scroll down and make sure that justified is enabled. It should be, but I want to double check. All right, so there we go. And again, we're looking for any text with a verb imperative. And let's just keep going down a little bit further. There we go. And so there's one right there, and then there's another one. Okay, so I just didn't go far enough down. Now, let me just pause here for a moment and show you and just walk you through why this is important. If you don't know the original language, how would you know that that's a command? Now, when you read the English, sometimes it's very clear. Like, for example, here, but you, beloved, ought to remember. There's kind of a command force behind that. Or if we go to verse 21, keep yourselves in the love of God. That sounds very much like a command, but that can be subjective. And so creating a visual filter that deals with all your verbs, but particularly commands, is so helpful because now you can easily read the English and you've got the precision as if you were a Greek scholar or been to seminary and you learned the original language. Now, let me give you a little freebie here. So I have kind of updated this a little bit, and I have it under visual filters. Let me scroll down here. Let me sort by name, and let's go down all the way to the end. So I have a visual filter, and did I do it this way? Nope, we're going to do it the old-fashioned way. So we're going to go to NT verbs. All right, so if you click on New Documents or Document icon, then click Public, and just type in NT verbs, you should see NT verbs Learn Logos John Fallahy. All right, and you'll also see OT NT verbs John Fallahy as well. That would be a good one, and as well. Now let me go ahead and just, all you got to do is click on one of them, or click and hold down your control button on the PC or command button on the Mac. You can select both, click Add to your docs. You'll see a blue bar appear and disappear, and then you can click on yours, and you'll now see those. Now let me go ahead and open up each one so you can see what's going on. All right, so here's the NT verbs. Now you can see there's a lot more going on here than just commands. All right, we have each type of verb. So we have the indicatives, we have the imperatives, we have the orange infinitives, we have the purple participles. You can see those right over here. And we have the gray subjunctives. But we also have an hortatory subjunctive, which has the force of a command, but it's a first person. Typically, commands are second person, and that's what the hortatory subjunctive is to let you know there's a first person command. Pretty wild. Then we have the difference between passive or middle. Passive voice is the subject is receiving the action but not doing the action, where the middle voice is both doing and receiving the action. And that's an important distinction when it comes to verbs. Then we have plural. Is something plural or not? And then we have some comparatives. So if there's a comparative, we have that underlined. We have a purpose clause, a specification, and just a whole bunch more. And there's a lot of other information here. Now, these are all OT commands imperative forms. So there we go. We got the imperative right here. Then we have first and third person jussive. These all have a verbal command sense to it. There's the cohortive and so forth. So the reason the green is highlighted is that's a real strong, clear imperative. But these other ones they have an imperatival force to it, but not always as strong. And again, context may say otherwise. And so this is a real helpful way to look at it. And so that's another example. So here we're, again, to back up without overwhelming you, recognize that you can create these visual filters on morphology at the original language level, which will allow you to have the benefit of original language precision while you're simply reading the English. So I love that capability inside Logos. All right, let's go to the next one. And let me stress, anything that's in the interlinear, you can create a visual filter for. So you can do low knighted numbers, which we're going to do in a minute here, Strong's numbers, etc. Now, this can be really helpful when it comes to making observations. So let me go ahead and turn this off, and let's kind of move to that. Now, I've done 2 webinars on this. Let me just bring this up real quick. There's LoNIDA, tips, tricks, and helps for Bible study. And if you just do a search for LoNIDA in my store, you'll be able to find those. The second one is updated version, LoNIDA data sets and visual filters. Now, in there, I do this much more extensively. So I don't want to duplicate everything, but I do want to show you the power of this. So let's go to, again, Documents, and we're going to type in LoNIDA. And if you go to public, you can look this one up. Now, you can see I have quite a few. I've got LoNIDA 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Those are all of them. And you'll see the first one I have is LoNIDA 5 W's and H. So let me go ahead and click and open that up so you can see what's going on. And let me go ahead and turn off the visual filter for this one and turn it on for the LoNIDA. Okay, so there we go. Now this first one shows you how we can use, for the New Testament, we can use the LoNIDA lexicon. Turns out the LoNIDA lexicon, and let me go ahead and open that, is very powerful. It's actually called the Greek English Lexicon in the New Testament. Louw-Nida is the name of the two authors. Now, when you open this up and you click on the table of contents, you can see that Louw-Nida has classified every word in the Greek New Testament. And when we get further down, we're going to get to the section here of 89 through 93. These are Louw-Nida numbers that are used to identify what words are doing. So for example, if we wanted to find the who, you can see that that's category 92. So if we go to 92, that's discourse referentials. And 92 is a speaker. And you can see every one of these has to do with a person. So we just put the whole category in there. And now when we read our Bible, every time a person is referenced, a pronoun as well, which I've also added for additional redundancy. And notice I have a couple more Louw-Nidas. We'll come to that in a minute. But you can see at the right, we have all the who's. So if you're reading the text and this visual filter is enabled, guess what? It's guiding you in your observations so that you don't miss anything. And that's pretty cool. Now we have the personal pronouns added, I or we or he, etc. But let's go to the other Louw-Nidas that we have here. We have Louw-Nida 93. So let's go ahead and look at that category. And if we scroll down, we'll see that 93 is names of persons. So that's perfect. And then we also have another category, which is Louw-Nida 12, 1 through 42. So if we scroll up, we can see 12 includes supernatural beings. This would be angels and God. So those are all in there. And I think I have the 9 in there. Yeah, I think I do. I moved over. It's hard to see. It's a big rule. And again, you can download. Yeah, there's 93. There's the 9. Okay, I knew I missed one. So there's the whole people category. And then I think there's this 10 as well, which is kinship terms. And then we go to groups and classes. We got some specific ones there. So using each one of these Louw-Nida classifications allows me to very accurately prompt me as I'm reading, tagging everything with a who visual filter. Now, I'm not going to go through all these in great detail. That's what the webinars are for, the Louw-Nida ones. But you can see that we can look for the what, the where, the when, the why for purpose, the how, and the why as in cause and reason. This is extremely powerful. Now, unfortunately, we're not able to do this in the Old Testament very easily. Some people have tried, but it's really imprecise, and frankly, I think it's more confusing than helpful. But for the New Testament, this is extremely powerful. So all you got to do to download this is just click on Documents, go to Public, type in Louw-Nida, and you will see the 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So take advantage of that. Take advantage of the 2 webinars. In fact, let me just go ahead and give you those links right now to each of those webinars just to save you some time, and then you can bookmark it yourself. Okay. And I love this. This really is a game changer for using visual filters because now it's part of your Bible study process. All right, the next one is, and let me take a moment here to talk about this right-click menu. Let me turn off the visual filter first as well. So let's go ahead and turn off the propositions as well. Let me do that real quick. And that should be reformatting. I think that's where they put it. There we go. All right, so let's go ahead and just right-click on the word to remember. So as you're so familiar with, the right-click menu gives us access to a lot of information. And again, you can click any item, search it, and generate a visual filter from that. But when you think about it, visual filters are based on either specific criteria or generic criteria. This is really, really key to understand. Now, how do I demonstrate that? For example, let's search on a person. So let's right-click on Jesus Christ. We choose Jesus, the person. We choose search, then Bible. And every place Jesus is mentioned, it's there. And now we can click the 3 dots, stoplight menu, choose as a visual filter. We could then go to the formatting, scroll down, and we could choose the inductive Bible study. Let's do that one where they have Jesus. There he is. We would then label this Jesus Christ, and then we can save it. And you can already see the visual filters already being applied. So now if we close the search window, we can see all the visual filters all more clearly. And that's great. That's a great way to observe. But this is specific. What if we wanted to search on just God in general, the Trinity? It could be God the Father, God the Son, God the Spirit. Well, that gets a little more tricky. So I want to make sure you understand searching for something specific. If you can create a search, you can visual filter it. But how do we solve that problem? Well, we can right click on the person and just see if there is anything in here that's generic that may be useful for searching it. So I like to just expand all these and go through them very briefly and see if there's anything that has it there. Unfortunately, we're not seeing anything there. However, there is a way around this, and the way to do this is through the Bible Sense lexicon. This is one strategy. So let's go to Tools, and I'll type in the word sense, and we'll click on Bible Sense lexicon. Now we could type in Jesus. Let's go ahead and do that. And here we are. We have Jesus of Nazareth, Jesus. Now we could type in even God, I think. Let's do that. This may be working. Let's choose that one. Okay, so there we go. All right. So now we have God, and you can see that it really is focusing on God. And then within the category, we have angels mixed in with God because these are supernatural beings, okay? And that can be angels, demons, but as well as the Trinity. And then we have supernatural entity. Now let's just say, for argument's sake, we want anything supernatural, just any supernatural beings. So what we want to do is go over to the far left and click on supernatural being. And then do search for sense. This ensures that we have the right search criteria. Now we can see that God is highlighted. If we go down later, let's just keep cranking through there. In fact, let me just change passages to the New Testament. So let me just put in Matthew through Revelation here. All right, and there we go. So there's an angel that appears. If we scroll down, we have the Father. Keep going, unclean spirits, and so forth. And you can see there's a lot there. And of course, Jesus and the Holy Spirit would appear as well. Usually with that, let's just make sure that he's there. Let's go to Revelation 4 and 5. And actually, it may not be. So, yeah, apparently it's not putting Jesus in that category. And so we would have to do some more searches. But here's how we would do it. We've got supernatural being. And that's because the Son is differentiated. That's why. So I'm going to right click and choose copy. And I'm going to go ahead in my visual filter. I'm going to paste that in. And in this case, I just want supernatural being. Now I don't have a special symbol for this. So I'm just going to pick purple, all right, for royalty. And in a few moments, we should see this visual filter kick in. All right, so in this case, it works. That's why I like to go first. Close that search engine down, and then you can see the visual filter. So, or anything in the Bible Sense lexicon can be made a visual filter. Love that capability. All right, so let's continue on and just take a moment about how to create your own special symbols, because that is one of the very handy things that you can do. So let me go to Tools, Highlighting, and just show you some examples that I have, and show you what's possible. All right, so I'm going to go down to my theology one. This is the one I've used for years. As you can see, I have specific graphics in each one of these. Now, how do we do this? Well, you can create a new palette, and I definitely recommend doing that. And so I'm going to create new palette, and we'll call this just, my symbols, really simple. In fact, let's do 0 symbols to put that at the top of the list. All right, there it is, 0 symbols. Then we want to click this drop-down arrow inside the circle and choose Add a New Style. Now, you'll see that we